All right, Commanders fans, let's get into it. But before we do, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to Commanders HQ. Just like our team is always working to improve and get better results on the field, we're constantly grinding to bring you the most in-depth, passionate coverage right here. So if you love this team and want to stay ahead of the curve, this is the place for you. Now, let's dive into today's story. And let me warn you, it's a complicated one. Because the Commanders might be heading into Week 4 against the Atlanta Falcons with some serious question marks hanging over two of the most important players on this roster, Terry McLaurin and Jayden Daniels. Let's start with Scary Terry, the heart and soul of this receiving corps. Terry went down against the Raiders with what the team is calling a quad injury. And while Washington didn't need to rush him back into the game because the outcome was already secure, what's happened since then has raised some real red flags. According to reports, McLaurin has now sought multiple medical opinions, including one from Dr. William Myers, the country's leading expert on core muscle injuries. Now, let me stop there. When you hear core muscle specialist, that doesn't exactly scream routine quad strain, does it? That tells you there might be something more going on here. Could it be a sports hernia? Could it be a more complex muscle issue? We don't know yet, and that's exactly the problem. The uncertainty is the real cloud hanging over this team. Dan Quinn has been careful with his words. At his presser, he confirmed Terry will not practice on Wednesday and said there won't be more clarity until Friday's official injury report. In other words, fans are going to be holding their breath all week. And here's why this matters so much. McLaurin hasn't missed a start since 2020, 72 consecutive games. The man is as durable as they come, as reliable as they come, and as important as they come. Losing him, even for just a week or two, would be a massive blow for this young offense. The timing couldn't be worse either. Noah Brown also missed Week 3, which left Jayden Daniels and Marcus Mariota leaning heavily on Deebo Samuel, Luke McCaffrey, and Ben Sinnott. And while those guys stepped up, let's be honest, losing McLaurin changes everything. McLaurin isn't just another receiver. He's the guy defenses game plan around. He's the safety net, the chain mover, and the emotional leader of this offense. Without him, Kingsbury's scheme looks a whole lot different, and suddenly those matchups that favored Washington don't look so favorable anymore. That's why you can bet GM Adam Peters is already working through contingency plans. Peters has shown all offseason that he's aggressive, creative, and not afraid to make bold moves. If McLaurin's injury lingers, don't be surprised if the Commanders explore a trade or scour the free agent market for veteran help. But it's not just McLaurin who has everyone in Ashburn watching closely this week. Rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels is still working his way back from a sprained knee he suffered in Week 2 against the Packers. Daniels sat out against the Raiders, which gave Marcus Mariota the spotlight. And Mariota delivered, going 15 for 21 for 207 yards and a touchdown in a 41-24 win. That kind of efficiency from your backup quarterback is exactly what every team dreams of. And it gives Washington something most franchises don't have: the luxury of patience. Still, Daniels was back at practice Wednesday in a limited capacity, working through passing drills and testing his speed. The big concern, though, remains his lateral movement: planting, cutting, escaping the pocket. That's where the risk is, because Daniels' game is built on mobility and playmaking outside of structure. Coach Dan Quinn said it best: he's doing everything you possibly can to get there. Translation: Jayden is working like crazy, but this team isn't going to rush him, and frankly, after what Mariota just showed, they don't need to. So here's the million-dollar question heading into Atlanta: who's actually going to be on the field? If McLaurin can't go, the Commanders will be extremely thin at receiver. Deebo Samuel would become the unquestioned wide receiver 1, Luke McCaffrey would see a big bump in targets, and Ben Sinnott's role as a pass-catching tight end might expand even more. But against the Falcons team desperate to bounce back after getting embarrassed 30-0 by the Panthers, that's not the matchup you want to test your depth in. As for quarterback, this feels like it will come down to how Daniels responds in practice the rest of the week. If the medical staff sees progress and no setbacks, maybe they let him play. If there's even a sliver of doubt, though, Mariota is more than capable of leading the charge. The beauty of the situation? The Commanders don't need to panic. They're 2-1, they've shown resilience through injuries already, and this roster is deeper than it's been in years. That's a testament to Adam Peters' vision and Dan Quinn's culture shift. Here's the bottom line heading into Atlanta. Terry McLaurin's health is about more than week 4. It's about the long-term trajectory of this season. Without him, Jayden Daniels, or Marcus Mariota, loses his most trusted weapon. And for a young quarterback like Daniels, who's still learning the speed and complexity of NFL defenses, that could slow his growth. But on the flip side, if Washington can navigate this stretch without Terry and still find ways to win, that's a statement about this team's depth, adaptability, and toughness. That's the kind of thing playoff teams do. We're 3 games into the season, and the Washington Commanders defense has done a lot of things well. They've shown grit, they've held opponents in check at key times, and they've done enough to keep this team in the win column. But there's a glaring issue that fans, and now even head coach Dan Quinn, can't ignore any longer. This defense has yet to record a single interception or fumble recovery. Not one. For a team that prides itself on toughness, aggressiveness, and attacking the football, that's not what anyone expected coming out of training camp. And Dan Quinn finally addressed it this week. When asked about the lack of turnovers, he didn't sugarcoat it. He admitted it's a drought, but he's not pushing the panic button just yet. Here's what he said. Yeah, you want to make sure you're training the guys correctly. And at practice, are we taking the right shots? Are we taking the right angles? I thought we had a chance for an interception. We didn't get to it. But you do have to go in with the mindset to say, we're going to go play our technique first, play it aggressive, and then be willing to go get the ball. I do feel like they're going to come. We just have to keep training. The guys keep digging in for it. It's definitely a drought, so it's time to get out of the drought. But they don't just give them to you either. That's vintage Dan Quinn, calm, process-oriented, but still making it clear the standard has to rise. He knows turnovers don't come easy in this league, but he also knows this Commanders' defense isn't at its ceiling without them.
Let's be honest, not every great defense racks up turnovers. Sometimes you win with pressure, with tackling, with discipline. But turnovers, they're game changers. They flip momentum, they shorten the field for your offense, and they crush an opponent's confidence. Think back to week 2 against the Packers. That was a winnable game, a one-possession fight. 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and we might be talking about a 3-0 Commanders team right now. Instead, Green Bay escaped, and Washington left knowing opportunities were missed. Even in week 1, when the defense only gave up 6 points to the Giants, an early turnover could have buried New York before halftime. And in week 3, the offense hung 41 points on the Raiders, so the defense didn't need a takeaway. But let's be real, not every game is going to be that easy. When the offense struggles, turnovers become the difference between victory and defeat. And right now, this defense is leaving plays on the field. So where do the takeaways come from? Let's break it down. The secondary. This group has talent. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., Benjamin St. Just, Quan Martin, Derek Forrest. They've been in position a few times, but the ball skills just haven't translated to interceptions yet. That has to change. In this league, you don't get 5 or 6 chances at a pick every game. You might get 1, and when you do, you have to finish the play. The pass rush. Let's not sugarcoat it. Pressure leads to mistakes, and while the Commanders have gotten after quarterbacks, they need those strip sacks, those hurried throws, those tip ball interceptions. That means guys like Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, and KJ Henry have to create more chaos. The linebackers. Frankie Louvu has been flying all over the field, setting the tone with effort and energy. Now, it's about turning that effort into game-changing moments. Punching the ball out, jumping a route, making that splash play. Here's the truth. Dan Quinn isn't panicking because he knows the defense is playing sound football. They're tackling, they're playing their assignments, and they're keeping games manageable. But the reason Quinn was brought here,
The reason he was such an attractive hire is because of his ability to create defenses that don't just stop opponents, but attack them. The Commanders need to become a defense that strikes fear, a defense that makes quarterbacks hesitate, a defense that knows how to steal possessions. Without that, the ceiling for this team drops. With it, the Commanders become a dangerous opponent for anyone. Commanders fans, we're in wait-and-see mode right now. The McLaurin situation is murky, and that uncertainty casts a shadow over everything. Add in Daniels' recovery, and Week 4 suddenly feels like a crossroads moment in this young season. But here's what we know. This team has already shown grit. They've already shown fight. They've already proven they can roll with the punches. And whether it's Daniels or Mariota, whether McLaurin suits up or not, this team is going to keep swinging. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Should the Commanders play it safe with Terry McLaurin and let him heal fully, even if it means being shorthanded against the Falcons? And at quarterback, would you rather see Daniels back on the field at less than 100%, or let Mariota take another start while the rookie heals? Drop your answers in the comments. I want to hear what the fan base is thinking. And don't forget, hit that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe to Commanders HQ for more insider coverage, breaking news, and fan-first conversations all season long. Together, we're building a community as strong as this team is becoming. HTTC, and I'll catch you in the next one.